Hello to viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Rocket Monday, we're going to talk about Space News 290923. So let's dive deep into it. So first, the biggest news of recent time is OSIRIS-REx. Now this puppy collected a sample on 20 October 2020 and then home delivery was made on 24 September 2023. So very recently home delivery, and this was a successful mission. And the moment they collected this puppy, they started to flood this puppy with nitrogen. Why nitrogen? Here's the pulling a vacuum risks, like you are pulling something from the like cloud that you have collected, basically dust you have collected. You're pulling something from inside. That's why that's not a recommended idea. Atmospheric pressure is always there, like in this whole area, it's there. So how do you pressure balance it? Well, put it with something inert. Nitrogen was the easiest thing. They started to flood this puppy with nitrogen. So you can see that every time they are moving this, there's somebody who is carrying a giant nitrogen tank. They are flushing it with nitrogen constantly. There is a basically positive pressure of nitrogen. Now why nitrogen? Well, it's the easiest to get and it does not have contamination probability. Like it could contaminate but very little. And why not helium? Well, helium does have a risk of like penetrating too deep. So nitrogen was like, this was the best they could do, and that's why like everything you see, it's like completely nitrogen flooded environment. And they have not opened it yet. Now opened as in like open, use it. So that will be done on the sample unveiling that is targeted at 11 October. Apparently they wanted to be equilibrium and figure everything out. Good, to be safe and sorry, safe rather than sorry. So they are being very cautious. That's supposed to happen on 11 October, 11 a.m. Eastern time, and 15 GMT or Indian time would be 8:30 p.m. late night, basically, so to say. However, be mindful, this is a very long standing tradition in NASA, is that thou shall never use all of it. Meaning once they collected material from Apollo mission, they did not use all of it. Like all the material sample return they did, they only used a very small amount, like genuinely shockingly small amount was used. And that's they're always the plan. The idea is that in future we're going to have better tools. So when they're going to collected this, the target was 60 grams. Apparently they have got more than 60 grams. Of course now it will be weighted and all that jazz. So let's say 60 grams, they most likely will only use 10 grams. And I'm exaggerating. I don't even think they're gonna use that much. Now, like, is that normal? Yes, that's normal. That's the plan way of using it. It's like take as little as you can and then just study it as long as you need to, and then hope in 10 years or 20 years or 30 years we have something, some new tool development, and then you're like, you're gonna use that at that point in time. And again, thankfully we did that with the Apollo mission, and it has allowed us to study deeper things, more refined things. Because if we had directly consumed all of the material, yeah, we'll be like, yeah, we need another mission. So we have learned this. Some amount of the sample will also be sent to Japan. Same way Japan shared their sample with us, us as in like US. So there is a both trading going on, and both parties will hold up some sample for very long duration. So this is the OSIRIS-REx. The landing was bit rough because a drogue chute did not deploy, but thankfully primary chute did, and it landed, and it like dang. So that happened. Everything is fine. Everything is good. This is a good news for now. So we come to the Starship, the darling, basically. Now FAA has flat out came out and announced that they're gonna take some time with the launch license, and optimistic aim is that it's gonna take end of October. So realistically speaking, expect November launch. Do not expect anything in October. Now, why the heck that is? Well, one major change that has created some hurdle for FAA is water deluge system, basically this puppy. Now, it does not look huge to us because we are watching it through a camera. We are not physically there and it's not surrounded by other things. But that's a huge amount of water that they are dumping there. And be mindful, that area is very biologically sensitive, so to say. So what happens to that water? That's a very good question. What happens after the water is like condenses? Because majority of the water would be evaporated, okay? That's one thing. What after that? So all that thing has to be taken into account, and that is FAA's job. So they're doing it, and it's a bit messy. So this part is the reason why they have to redo some extra steps. And FAA lawsuit that was filed by environmentalist group against FAA, not against SpaceX, let that be very clear. The lawsuit was filed against FAA. How the heck FAA allowed this puppy to be built on a natural reserve, basically? That area, that location, Boca Chica, that exact location is a habitat location. It literally has list of species that are what we classify as almost endangered species. So how the heck you put a giant ass rocket there? It's like literally cooking them. So how the heck you did that? Like, because be mindful, the sound wave that these puppy create is brutal. For a small animal, it's like poof. So how the heck this happened? They have claimed, and FAA did try to get this thrown out of the court, and SpaceX helped FAA. That did not happen. At this time of me recording this video, it has not come to pass that the judge has basically rejected the case, so to say. So it's still ongoing. And on top of that, Starbase is still developing, and they are deploying a bigger and bigger orbital farm. At this point in time, I'm a bit confused. Is like, are they power limited? There could be a very serious remote, because again, this area is remote. They do not have connection to the greater grid. That why the heck they're not putting air distillation tower here? Like, because it sounds all fun and games. It's like we're gonna put, like, giant bullet tanks, those tanks that are containing. It's like you need three things. If you have air distillation right there on the location, you have the luxury of nitrogen, you have the luxury of oxygen. You consume nitrogen like there is no tomorrow, and you need boatload of oxygen. So having both of them on site production would be cheaper. And you're like, what about the machine? Here's the deal. What about the diesel that consumes by the trucks? Because be mindful, anybody who is selling them is doing the same thing. They are running cost of the farm will be collected from SpaceX. Running cost of the trucks and payment of all that will be taken from SpaceX, and then some extra profit. So SpaceX is literally buying something at like maybe 4x the price it would be if they can directly afford. Maybe they are money crunch, but most likely crunch is on the power. I do not think they have enough power oomph where they can run very powerful basically air distillation. But let's see what happens, because if this sort of every before every launch you have like a kafila of trucks, like hundreds of trucks just keep going there. That's majority of like live stream now, that people have that camera there on the roads. That's all they see, trucks with some more trucks, with some extra trucks, and with some extra trucks. So that's the Starship stuff. Then we come to one of the interesting thing that I found, that was Vadar Space. Varda Space, and what they are targeting. This is a small company, and they are targeting very precisely. They're not trying to do everything. They're like, this is one thing, and we're gonna do this. The idea is automated space manufacturing. Now, space does not have the unsaturated market in terms of communication. The communication market is saturated. Like we got it, we sorted. What about remote observations? Sorted. There are more than enough company. There is not enough room there. So what? How can you make money? Right now, like if you say, oh, we're gonna launch a camera satellites there, like, bro, we have hundreds of camera satellites around. It's not needed. Like, we got it, we sorted. So tourism is one of the biggest money maker left, that is unsaturated. And another thing is space manufacturing. Now, this is the final evolution of space industry. It's like to do something useful in space. So this company is directly targeting a robotic vessel that does everything without human. There is no human involved, and it can do everything that it needs to do with low-cost robotics. Even the rocket would be low cost. Now, this is how they launched it in SpaceX fairing, but you can say like this puppy was here. But the aim is they can even launch this with basically Electron rocket if they need to. This was cheaper, so they just eat it using that. And what they're gonna do once they actually go up there, they're gonna build what we call complex compounds. They are building a medicine component. Medicine is generally made out of mixture of a lot of components, and those components are very complex. For example, the component they are directly trying to build is a suppressant, so to say, which helps stop a protein reaction. Only my brother can explain that. He's a doctor. I cannot even read the names. It's freaking this long name. So that compounds is a very useful thing. However, we know how to make it. We just cannot truly make it very high quality on Earth. Why? It settles. Like you mix the liquid, it settles. The gravity makes it difficult. So there is no way to turn off gravity on Earth. You can only increase it. You cannot turn it off. So if you try to grow these sort of crystals, that structure that you want to grow in space, in zero-G environment, it grows with much higher purity. Same amount of input material, but the output will be much higher quality, much higher grade, quote unquote. So that's what they are aiming for. So compound in microgravity, and this is what they are aiming for. This is their bread and butter. Now, same way, other companies are also targeting other vectors of manufacturing. One company is targeting specifically on how to make high quality fiber optics. And be mindful, right now fiber optics is the backbone of humanity. If we can make even few percent improvement on that, people are like, shut up, take money. And there are other companies that are like, what if we grow wafer there, and the wafer quality would be much higher, so we can go even, like, there are many things that can be done. So there's a lot of new scope that has opened up, and it's very young, very new. So this company is directly targeting on that precise front, and FAA blocked their return. Now, why the heck that happened? There is a bit of chicken and egg scenario, because they did launch it and they did not have that part sorted yet. So it does fall on them. They should have like absolute FAA approval, which they did not. They were on talks, but that part was stuck. Now this puppy went to space, created the compound. Their camera, their sensors are telling them that compound has been built, everything is a success, but you need to bring it back. Of course, that's the whole point. So the capsule is designed to come back, and it can stay in space for 1 year. So that's how long they have. Like, the clock is ticking, they have few months left, so to say. But FAA blocked the return part. Now, why the heck return is blocked? Again, FAA is not very clear. They are saying you are not as safe as you need to. All that stuff is happening, and be mindful. The area they want to land is taken care by Air Force. Now, back in the days, Air Force used to take care of it. Now Space Force takes care of the asset kind of scenario. So Space Force is also blocking it. Now they are not giving a clear reason, and FAA is working with them, and they are trying their best, because be mindful, if this sort of thing does work, it's a national asset. It's like, you do not want to, like, oh, just so some old people who have, like, medicine technology, like, some, no. The national debt, the only reason USA never collapses under national debt is simply because somehow magically they have enough intelligent people that keeps making new things and value keeps going up. It's a very bad situation right now, because last time something very valuable happened was Silicon Valley. SpaceX, you can count that, but it has not returned profit yet. So suppressing this sort of magical technology, which could have significant impacts, is not recommended, not for long term. And be mindful, this is so significant. UK is looking into it, and they also have their own homegrown variant that is directly targeting something this. So this is a very important thing. The compound, if we can develop with high purity, with high efficacy, so to say, it will be game changing. This would be time where, like, oh, space actually has benefit, not just like, oh, communication, GPS and all that. Those are awesome. This will be like, okay, your life actually becomes awesome. So this is very interesting things that is going on, and I would urge you to keep an eye out at Weather Space Industries. I hope that FAA gives them, and be mindful, the capsule is designed only to land on land. It's not designed to land on sea. It's both a dual-edged sword. Land does require more regulation. Sea, it's a sea. Going there and collecting becomes much more hassle. So land is far more preferable in long term. And be mindful, this thing has to happen periodically, regularly, again and again, until orbital reef comes to be, and then they have much giant variant in orbital reef, and because orbital reef will have continuous cycling of passengers, and then they can, like, piggyback there, how they piggybacked here. Then we come to Virgin Galactic. Now Virgin Galactic finally reached a point of paid flights, meaning they are not just doing R&D. This is the paid flight, and the prefix have been changed. The prefix was Unity, now the prefix is Galactic. Now Galactic 01, the first paid mission was 29 June 2023, successful. This puppy, Italian people were there, Air Force pilots and all that jazz. Successful, that's awesome. Then Galactic 2, 10 August 2023, this mission, it was also a successful, and by the time you are watching this video, there is a good chance Galactic 3, 8 September 2023, that is planned, should also be successful. So they have actually reached a point where things are working. They are actually starting to make that. Now the biggest hurdle is that they have accumulated giant debt. The debt is bonkersly high. So how do they repay that debt? Well, they only need to make sure that these things can happen very quickly. You can see the gap between, like, June and August. That's not acceptable. They need at least one launch per week, the minimum. That if they do not reach that, they cannot make enough money quickly enough to repay the debt. And be mindful, debt incurs interest, so you really have like a time crunch, so to say. So what are they working on? They're working on upgrading the design of these puppies. So every facet, every bolt that they need to inspect is designed with airport kind of mentality. Airports, everything that aircraft's maintenance and all that is, we learned it the hard way, that we have to maintain it. We have to design not for weight, we have to design it for maintainability. So fasteners that they are designing, the new system that they're going to reduce the number of fasteners, basically steps needed to refurbish this puppy. Right now, this is equivalent to what Space Shuttle was, or like early Falcon 9s were. Like Falcon 9 used to land booster, and then they were like, okay, we're gonna take our time with it. Then that's why they made Falcon 9 Block 3, Falcon 9 Block 4, then Falcon 9 Block 5. What was Block 5? Just refinement for one core vector, make sure this puppy recycles very quickly. Basically, the cycling efficiency they want to improve. That's what they are working on. So hopefully by the time we have Galactic 10, Galactic 20, this should be like bam, 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 bam. Only then they can really pay off their debt. Then we come to Blue Origin. Now, Blue Origin has been quiet for some time, and simply because the last launch they did, that was on 12th September 2022, ended in this. Basically, it went boom. So what happened is, like, it was an uncrewed flight, and you can see that rocket was firing, something bad happened, and nozzle was compromised, and computer was like, yeet, I'm out of there. So it triggered the launch abort system. Everything worked as it should. Capsule was completely safe, and a booster went boom. Now, this happened. Thankfully, there was no crew involved, and even if they were involved, all the sensors, all the data proves that even if they were there, the worst thing that would have happened is like they got a bit bigger, rougher ride, so to say, more G-shock, so to say, but it would not have been lethal range, or it would not have been like, it would have been uncomfortable or a biggest thrill ride of their life, but they would have been safe. By all metric, they would have been safe. So this is what happened last year, 2022. After that, they were doing a lot of investigation by themselves and with FAA, and they have narrowed down the cost. The nozzle overheated. Why the heck nozzle overheated? They tampered with some of the systems and it backfired and it went boom. So nozzle overheated. You can see that even in the video that colors, basically exhaust color changes, and it starts to, the nozzle is like, it's gone. By that time, computer starts to notice that thrust is not coming, because without nozzle, even if you have rocket engine working, without nozzle is not basically the efficiency is not, coupling efficiency is gone. You are no longer coupling the energy that is going out. So computer detected and is like, yeet, peace out of there. I did had the luxury to meet one of the engineers that were working on this in IIT Kanpur. They came there for some talks, and they did say that they had this sort of plan, where is like, if you pay extra, that we're gonna fire the, basically this booster, that central console that you see, that's the emergency escape system, fire it at the apogee. Basically, once you reach the, once booster cuts out, then they fire it. So you get even higher system. I do not know whether they can legally do that or not, but that's what they were saying. So at this point in time, they have redesigned the system. They have only one booster working left. They're building a new one with all the learnings they have got. And again, doing the same thing SpaceX did, refining it so it's easier to cycle. And they should get back to flight before this year is out. That's their aim. That's what they are claiming. And FAA is also shows some promise that it can be done, because they narrowed it down. Okay, this is what happened. And would people be in danger? No. That's why they had emergency escape system, and it proved that it worked. So we should see this before, like, let's say late December, we should see at least one of them. And what about their client base? Client base is happy, and especially the young ones, they are like, bro, we should have been there, because again, it's a biggest thrill ride you could ever have. So from Blue Origin's point of view, they're good, they're safe, but they're taking the precautions and they're very thorough with it. FAA is be ultra thorough with it, and everything is working as they should. It's bad thing, but again, it's better to learn it this way rather than having a crew going, oops. So Blue Origin is also in rough water, let's just say. Not as bad situation as basically Virgin Galactic, but not awesome. Now, the reason why I said, because Jeff Bezos has some deep pockets. Like, his pocket is like, bro, no. His pocket is like, bro, I got this. So let's see what happens with Blue Origin. Hopefully, next launch should be in November and December. So this was my presentation on all the interesting news I have found so far. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst a friend. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment, because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.